So there are Holy Grail Pokemon cards all throughout Pokemon's history. But what are Holy Grail items right now? We're talking specifically cards, not still products or anything like that. Holy Grail cards to me is something really iconic, like something that where people are like, you know what? Not only is this such a cool card that people want, but also fetches a very, very expensive price tag. It kind of stands the test of time, where over time it just keeps getting more and more and more valuable and more desirable. So we're going to look at today 2 examples of what I think are kind of certified Holy Grail cards, and then cards which I think in the future have that potential to become really big Holy Grail items as well. Let's jump into it. An example of a Holy Grail card would be the Full Art Latias Latios Tag Team art from Team Up. This card has been a big chase card since it came out, and now years later, people are still chasing this awesome artwork. For me, it's my ultimate chase card. I really want to have this in my collection. Look at the value, okay? We're looking at a 2K raw card, and in a 10, it fetches over $9,000, okay? Which is absurd, right? Team Up is very, very expensive. And look at that PSA 10 price just over the last 6 months alone. This card's nearly doubled in value, and from doubling in value at 5K is unbelievable, right? So to me, this is a card that people would have in their collection when they're like, you know what, this is an ultimate card to have, whether it's graded or raw. This is still an absolutely banger card, right? Just so good, right? Now, the thing is, you look at the raw price of this, we take away the graded price, look at the raw price as well. It just keeps going up and up and up. Reaching $2,000 is just next level stuff. To me, this is from the Sun and Moon era. This is a Holy Grail item. Now, let's look at one from the Sword and Shield era. The Sword and Shield, obviously, the Umbreon, the Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies. This to me is again a Holy Grail item. This is one of the big, if not the iconic, what is the most iconic card from the Sword and Shield era. Back in the day, the Umbreon and the Latias Latios tag team are kind of duking out between the two of them, which will be the biggest modern era card. And the Latias is definitely skyrocketed ahead. The Umbreon's doing really well. Now, one big difference between the two of them is the population of the PSA 10. There's over 17,000 of these in a PSA 10, and it's still fetching 2.7k in value. It did dip earlier on this year. We did see it go down to 2.2k, but it is now sprung quite nicely back up to where it once was. But to have 17,000 copies compared to what we had here with 2,000, it is just huge difference. So yeah, the Umbreon doing incredibly well. Look at the raw price, over 1.3k. As we know, Evolving Skies is getting more and more expensive. So to me, this is a Holy Grail item. I do feel like there are other Sword and Shield era cards, which we'll get to in a moment, can become, or maybe already starting to become Holy Grail items. And then we're going to go into the Scarlet and Violet era, and I'm going to pick a few cards as well. Let's jump into it. Okay, first Sword and Shield potential Holy Grail item is the Lugia ORV. Of course, for a Holy Grail item, you kind of want to be going to the biggest cards in the most popular sets, and kind of the biggest cards that define that era, or define that time in what you can get in packs. And alt arts are booming right now in the Sword and Shield era, and I kind of feel like the Lugia V is going to be, and probably already is, a modern Holy Grail item. And nearly 20,000 copies are in a PSA 10, which is, again, an absurd amount compared to, if you go back to pretty much any of the Sun and Moon era. And even if you compare it to the Umbreon, there's more copies than this in 10. Raw price, though, it is fetching a nice, healthy $300 on average, or a little bit more than $300, $950 in a PSA 10. It doesn't matter how many is graded in a 10. Look at the price of this. I mean, 6 months ago being under $700, dipping to under $600, and now climbing up all the way to $950, which is just crazy stuff, to be honest. And even the raw price has held relatively nice, still reaching its all-time peak. So for me, yeah, the Lugia V is very good. Silver Tempest is again getting more and more expensive. It was the final booster box set in the Sword and Shield era. Lugia's a big iconic Pokemon anyway. This artwork's sick. So yeah, this one I think is going to be a Holy Grail item in the future. Next up, we got the Gueritina V from Lost Origin. I mean, which one would you prefer, guys? Let me know in the comments between the Giratina and the Lugia. Personally, I actually prefer the Lugia, but the Giratina is very nice. Of course, from Lost Origin, as we know, is getting very expensive. Look at the price of this one. This is over $500 raw, 1.8k in a PSA 10. Very expensive, and double, right? Double of what the Lugia is in a 10. A lot less of this is graded in a 10 though, probably because it's a lot harder to pull than the Lugia at 8,000 copies. And again, it's bounced back quite nicely. It was around 1.2k earlier on this year. Up to 1.8 is big money. But the raw price has slipped a little, right? It has fallen out of favor just a smidge. Going from, I say just a smidge, but going from $700 down to $500. But still, a Holy Grail item. I think it's something that people chase to get. Very difficult to pull. Never pulled it on this channel before. We've opened up hundreds, probably if not over 1,000 packs of Lost Origin. I've never pulled the Giratina. Speaking of extremely difficult to pull, with the Gengar V Max. I'm actually not a huge fan of this one from Fusion Strike. I love Gengar, it's one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, but this just doesn't cut it for me. $500 to $600 raw, 1.6k in a 10 with over 11,500 copies, so more than the Giratina in copies, less than the Lugia, less than the Umbreon, but still 1.6k is incredible. Fusion Strike booster boxes getting ridiculously expensive, and this is incredibly tough to pull, even though there's a lot of these in a 10. And the price has gone from 1.6k up to 1.2k up to 1.6k. The raw price has again been slipping a little bit, similar to the Giratina. So for me, I think this is going to be a Holy Grail item. It's so difficult to pull. What an iconic artwork. And Gengar is a big fan favorite from Gen 1. Okay, first one we have in the Scarlet Violet era is the Victini from Black Bolt or White Flare. Take your pick. Doesn't really matter which one. I think White Flare is a little bit more expensive, but I don't know why. But this one, this card in particular, I think it's going to be a Holy Grail item because it's so unique. They've brought in unique rarities for these sets. Personally, a huge fan of it, but I do know so many people want this in their collections. 1.7k in a PSA 10. Obviously, it's so new, so it's going to be highly inflated. And the price obviously reflects that for the raw price as well. Black Bolt White Flare, it's tough pull rates. You get a lot of hits, but to get these specific cards is so incredibly tough. So for me, I think that would help in the long run as well. And the fact is that pretty much anything that's come out this year in 2025 is expensive and hard to get hold of. Create an artificial hype, an artificial additional value, as it were, to some of these cards that might hold in the future as well. The same goes for the Zechrom from Black Bolt. Again, the unique rarity and the unique style of the card, I think this one's amazing by the way, is also going to help it, similar to the Victini. 1.4, nearly 1.5k in a PSA 10. Again, really early days. The raw price fetching over $400. I think that, again, similar to the Victini, it's going to be the extremely tough pull rate to try and find these. Then goes to the Reshiram. I call this one a Holy Grail item potential down the line. A little bit less than the other two, but again, still very cool. And I do think a lot of people will be after this in the future as well. 1.2k, 1.3k. We've seen in the past cards similar to this, which have that unique, like, solid silver cards we've seen, and so on and so forth. And I think that's going to do very well. Like, these have the potential to go down that route as well, to be so unique. Next up, we got the Fish Paldea Evolved Magikarp coming in. I think this one definitely has probably reached Holy Grail, maybe, in the Scarlet and Violet era. There's probably maybe one other card I want to talk about that I think has already reached the Holy Grail potential, but we'll get to that. The Fish, $250. That PSA 10 price, nearly 2k in a PSA 10. There is a lot less of this in a PSA 10 than a few other cards that we've looked at. It's a tough card to grade, again a 10. That's why it's fetching an insanely high price tag. And even here, right, it was like 1.2k, even down to 1.1k. Then it spiked at 2.2, and now it's slipped down a little bit. But still, even with slipping, it's still 1.9k in a 10. This is incredible, right? Very unique artwork. People love this. Even when Paldea Evolved first came out, I remember when this card was reasonably cheap, 30, 40, and then it started to climb up and then overtook to become the most expensive card, and now, you know, reaching 250. It's kind of weird. It's like, it's a Holy Grail item, but I think this is so hard to get a 10. The value's there in the 10. The raw value compared to a lot of the other cards that we've seen and we're going to go through, it doesn't quite match up to some of the others, which is kind of strange, but I do feel like a 10 in particular will definitely be a very sought after card. Team Rocket's Mewtwo. I'm not a huge fan of this one personally, but I think it's going to be a good one. I really do. Destined Rivals is getting very expensive for a set that is so new. And again, even though I'm not a huge fan of the artwork, it's iconic in a way because Team Rocket's Mewtwo is just such an awesome idea. Obviously, idea for like, because Team Rocket, but big fan favorite Mewtwo, of course. And it's all about Team Rocket. Anything Team Rocket in the past has done very well. And that's why I kind of feel like this will do very well again down the line in the future. Especially with the tough pull rates. Again, everything's being harder to get hold of, especially this year in 2025. This might go the same way, similar to Black Bolt White Flare card. This is one where I think could already be a Holy Grail item, but I definitely think it's on that list, is the Bubble Mew from Paldea Fates. Of course, the Bubble Mew is incredible. I called this card when it was like $80, $90, that I think this was going to be one of the biggest cards in the era, let alone the set. And lo and behold, turned out that way. You know, $370 to $433. You look at nearly 1.4k in a PSA 10. Crap ton of these in a 10 though. This potentially is going to go the same way as like the Umbreon in a way. We have such a high pop 10, but people just want the card. The demand is there, but there's just not enough of them. And this card did see a dip. I remember earlier on this year where it was like 1k, and then it did take a massive dive, dropped maybe $250 in value, and now it's climbed up to its all-time high at nearly 1.4k. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And even the raw price has been doing relatively well. Alien Fates getting hard to get hold of, getting more and more expensive. Incredibly tough card to pull. I have actually pulled this one, not for myself, but for someone on stream. It is such an awesome card and a very unique artwork as well, so that would definitely help it. Then we've got the Greninja from Twilight Masquerade. Again, I think this has the potential to be a Holy Grail item, kind of on the same road as maybe like the Lugia or something like that, where it's like it's kind of up there, or has the potential to be up there, and it's kind of second best in a way to some of the other really big cards from this era. And this is such an awesome artwork. Greninja, big fan favorite, very tough to pull from Twilight Masquerade, and we're looking at nearly $800 in a PSA 10, so towards the lower end of some of the cards that we've seen today. Over 7,000 in a 10 as well, so a good chunk, but still a lot less than some of the others. It has dipped and then bounced back up, right? It was $800 in a 10, and then it did dip, to around 600, and it's bounced back quite nicely to where it once was. The raw price is dropping as well, because more and more packs of Twilight Masquerade are being opened still, so more and more of these are hitting the market, but still a very awesome card. Next up, we have the Umbreon. Of course, we looked at the Umbreon from Evolving Skies. We have to talk about the one from Prismatic. Personally, I actually prefer the artwork of this one. I don't actually like the Umbreon, even though I own the Umbreon. Actually, I'm not a fan of it, whereas I do prefer the artwork of this one. This one here, you look at $900 raw for an extremely young card, right? It's like 6 months old. We're looking at 2.7k in a PSA 10, the most expensive card right now that you can pretty much pull in any pack. And it's just so good. A lot of Prismatic is hitting the market though, a crap ton. So a lot of these are going to be flooding the market over the next, and we're going to see prices fall quite heavily. More of them will be graded, but I do feel like this has the potential, like the Umbreon, to have a high population and fetch a really high price, similar to the Bubble Mew. I think it's going to do very well. Yes, it has fallen from 4k down to 2.7. That's just the way it is. Prismatic has got an extremely tough pull rate, just like Evolving Skies. And there are a lot of big cards in there, whereas the Umbreon is the biggest, and it is doing the best by a fair margin. And I do still believe that even if this card dropped 50% in its raw value, itself in a PSA 10 is going to do very well in the long run. I really do see it, and it's kind of unheard of for us to have a card that's $900 this early on, 6 months in. It's just absolutely incredible. It did drop from 1.5k raw. I expected to drop probably towards $500, but nonetheless, I do think this is going to be a future Holy Grail item. And then I wanted to include a Pikachu on this list, and I was debating including the Surging Sparks Pikachu, but I kind of feel like I don't think that's going to necessarily be a Holy Grail item. I think it's going to be good, kind of like the Charizard from Brilliant Stars, but I don't think it's going to be a Holy Grail item. Whereas the Grey Felt Hat Pikachu, I think will be a Holy Grail item. Look at this raw. We're looking at over $400 raw. The graded price for this is 1.1k with over 41,000 of them in a 10. This card has been graded so heavily, which is just incredible. It is very good. And this was free, right? If you went, I think at the time, if you went to the museum itself, you got some. This was also then available on the Pokemon Center website, and so on and so forth. And it was always stayed at quite an expensive card at the time. But it's been going strength to strength to strength. I mean, look at the graded price of this. Bear in mind, it's 41,000 in a 10. $700 all the way up to 1.1, and it's going to soon approach 1.2k. It goes to show that population doesn't mean much, really, in the modern era of Pokemon. If people want the card, then they want it, And I don't think there's enough PSA 10s out there for how many people that want to get this card in a 10. And the raw price has been climbing ever since, which is very impressive. So yeah, overall, I do think this is a really sweet card, for a Holy Grail item. Me personally, I'm not a fan, but I do think it's going to go up and up over time. There you have it, guys. Those are the cards I would have to pick for Holy Grail. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments if there's any that you would add in or take away to this list if we had a look back through the Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet era. And yeah, I think there's some really good ones in the Scarlet and Violet era. I really do. Not every single set has a Holy Grail card in the future, just like look back at older sets in the XY era, you look at sets back in Sun and Moon era, not every single card is a true Holy Grail card. I do feel like there are other cards, from Sun and Moon era, apart from the Latios, which is a Holy Grail item, right? Prime example would be the Burning Shadows Charizard. That's a Holy Grail card. A Big Rainbow Zard was a hugely sought after one. Same with the Hidden Fates Charizard. That too is another Holy Grail item. So for me, there are multiple from every single era. And I do feel like there's other potentials that have that, growth that we don't expect. And we've seen it time and time again, especially in the graded price for a lot of these cards in 10s. But if you made this fun of the video and you enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more Pokemon content. And that's it from me, guys, in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. See you all in the next one.